QuickBooks Online 2025 Sales by Product and Service Graphs. Get ready and some coffee because we're learning how to save time with QuickBooks Online 2025. Here we are online in our browser searching for that QuickBooks Online test drive, the free sample company file available to everybody. Looking for the result that has Intuit.com in the URL because Intuit is the owner of QuickBooks. Choosing the United States version of the software, and then we check off that box saying I'm not a robot. And continue. Closing the prior tab, no longer needed. This is the process we do every time as in sample company file, Craig's Design Landscaping, opening the major financial statement reports. On the left-hand side, as you know, the reports tab, we're going into the favorites. Right-click it on the balance sheet to open the link in a new tab. Same with the P and the L, the profit and loss, otherwise known as the income statement. Going to the tab to the right, closing up the hamburger and changing the range to a 2-year time frame. 010124 tab, 123125 tab. Selecting the drop down to see it in years. Run it because we want to be refreshed. And we have 2024 and 25 now side by side. Going to tab to the next side, that right side, closing up the hamburger and doing the changing of the range into the same in 010124 tab, 123125 tab, selecting the drop down to see it in years and run it to refreshing it. Now we've been looking at reports other than these major 2 financial statement reports, all other reports giving more information about one or multiple line items, typically, of these 2 major financial statement reports. Oftentimes we call those in textbook world of accounting, subsidiary reports. And oftentimes those subsidiary reports can be used to make fancy graphs, pie graphs, bar graphs, which we can then give to clients and impress them going, as we saw before, above and beyond the call of duty. Duty just calling us to go to the bathroom from time to time, but we're like, no, we're doing more than that. We're going above and beyond the call of duty, making us fancy pants. So now we have fancy pants because we're keeping them clean by going above and beyond the call of duty. So last time we took a look at the income line items and we said, hey, we can break out these income items by account and then give a pie chart of each of the accounts, but likely you don't have as many income line items. So maybe we take total income and break it out by customer. That's what we did last time. So which customers are the most important to us? We looked at that last time. Could be quite important depending on the type of industry you're in. However, the other way we can break it out is, of course, by what we sell, inventory items or service items. That's what we'll look at this time. So this was the last one that we'll do example-wise. I just want to point out that you could think of other things that you can make graphs from, which might be important depending on the industry you're in, such as, for example, the expense categories. You might take all of your expenses and line them up and look at each expense category as a percent of the total and simply take that information basically from the income statement, although there are other expense reports that you can use, and use make a pie chart of that. Or you can take your expenses and look at the subsidiary ledger, breaking them out by who you paid, by vendor, and you can make a pie chart of that. But usually people are, of course, more interested in the income line item. It's more exciting, even though expenses are important to manage, as is happening in the federal government right now, where DOGE is taking names, putting people down, those corrupt people. They're just spending money for the most ridiculous thing. We all knew it. We all knew it was happening, and they don't care, right? That's what happens in big businesses too. The bloat happens, and they're like, what is $1 million compared to the $1 billion budget? And it's like, dude, you're ruining our reputation. You're spending millions of dollars making fun of our core customers, for crying out. Stop that. It ruins the goodwill. It ruins the goodwill. Our reputation is, and that costs us money in the long run. Okay. So you have to focus on the expenses too. You can't just be like, well, it's not that much money. And there's more at stake here. The reputation is okay. But in any case, we're going to be looking at now on the income line item. Now remember, it depends on the type of industry as to whether or not you're going to have a subledger for the income line item. So if you're in the gig work industry, then you might just be waiting until something clears the bank, recording income with a deposit form. You're not going to have any added, information on the subledger for items that you sell because you're not using an invoice or a sales receipt and not using items in order to record income. But if you're at a cash register, for example, then remember that the last report we looked at, we said that you might not be as likely to have customers at a cash register that you're inputting into the system, because if they're ordering a sandwich, they might not want to tell you who they are. They don't really, that's too much information. You're getting into their business, man. They just want a sandwich. But you can at least know what kind of sandwich they bought. So that then we can break out the sales item by what we're selling on if we use a sales receipt, say at a cash register. And of course, if we have an invoice situation, such as we saw before, bookkeepers, law firm, landscape, then of course we also have the things that we're selling. Now on this side of things, you might have sometimes like a law firm that charges hourly or something like that, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult to look at what the actual jobs were, which would be nice if we can set up our system so that we can base it on, exact jobs. That will help us with the billing oftentimes, because then the clients know how much something's going to cost within a range, and it'll give us more information possibly internally. I can break out our revenue by the things that we sell, the services that we provide in that case, which might help us to make decisions about where we should be putting our time. What services should we be focusing in on? All right, so that's what we're going to focus in on this time. Let's find the subsidiary report by item. So we're going to go to the tab to the left, go to the sales tab. Wait, not the sales tab. I'm on the reports again. Reports again. Let's close the hamburger up to give us some elbow room. Scrolling down, and we want the sales and customers section. We did sales by customer last time. We want now sales by product and service summary. That's the one we want. Sales by product service summary. Let's right click on that, open a link in a new tab, and let's check out that tab that we opened in the new tab. Let it think, let it figure it out first. Close up the hamburger, change the range, going from 010124 tab, 123124 tab, run it. And so now we've got this information, and it's breaking it out by the things that we sell. It gives us the quantity, which we would only have if we're selling inventory items. It gives us the amount, and then it gives us the percentage of sales, which is basically what we would want to do anyways if we're going to break it out like in a pie chart. But we're going to want to do that anyways. And then we got the average price, which isn't really what we need on our side. Now note that the total here is at 3309.25. Is that what it was before? 3309.25 for the sales by product. If I go back to the income statement for 2024, it's 3284. So it doesn't tie in exactly, and that's because it's possible to record something to the income or revenue account without adding an item. And so if that's off, then you might want to adjust it to make it correct when we make the pie chart, for example. So maybe we'll touch in on that. So all I really want then is this column over here. Now the other thing that's going to throw a wrench into this is that they have sub accounts or subcategories. And that means that now I have this total category and subcategories underneath it, and I would rather not have subcategories. I'd rather have just a list of numbers without these subtotals. So you may or may not want the detail of the subcategories, but let's pretend we don't need the detail of the subcategories. If I collapse them, I could try to collapse them this way. I don't have a collapse button up top. Then that's only going to give us our 3 basic items, which if we only have 3 items, we could basically just type it into Excel. But it probably won't let me export this way, I don't think. It's still going to expand it when I export it, because usually it'll expand it. Let's check it out and see if it does. Let's export to Excel like that and see que paso con esto. And I'll just put it right here. Que estará. What's going to happen? I don't know how to say that. I know. What's going to happen? What's going to happen with the sub accounts, man? And then que pasará. I don't know. Let's go under here. Let's go on the transfer and go into this one. All right. So then it expanded them again that's what I said was going to happen. I knew it. So that's okay. So we'll have to clean this up a little bit more. So let's go back on over here. Now I'm going to put this on this tab where we have all of our other reports so that I can print them all in one spot. You don't have to do that to practice this, but that's what we're going to do. Imagining that we're going to try to get all of our reports on one PDF. So I'm going to right click on this tab, move to the other one. As long as the other report is open, these are the two workbooks, or you can call them basically Excel documents if you want to think of them from a Microsoft Word standpoint. We want to go to this one. I'm going to make a copy of it, and boom. It always puts it on the left. I'm just going to grab it with the clicker and drag it to the right. Bam. All right, so let's close the other one up. This one is no longer needed. You have served your purpose and now will be deleted. That's mean, man. Why you got to treat reports like that? It's just a report. It doesn't hurt the report if you delete it. It saves room for the computer. So let's go ahead and clean this up. So I'm going to delete the top bit. I'll do this fast because we've seen it before, but there's a little bit more cleanup work. I'm going to say I don't need that. Get that out of here. And then all I really want is this middle column here. So I don't really want any of this stuff. Is any of this column dependent upon anything else? I'm looking, is there a formula in it that's going to mess it up if I delete the other columns? No, it looks like it's a clean just set of numbers. So let's just delete all these other columns. Don't need D to H, delete. Don't need the quantity, delete. Let's format this bad doggy. I want to start with a standard formatting over here. Home tab, format painter, paintbrush the whole thingy dangy. Right click on it and then format the cells. And I want to go to the number tab. I like to make it currency, negative numbers bracketed and red, no dollar sign. Let's get to the decimals out to start out with, and then okay, and then home tab, font group and bold. Now there's a funny thing happening here, and that's where you see this little green thing. It's got some funny formatting going on. So if I double click on it, then you can see it formats to the right. So it's like, how can I can do that all the way down maybe. Double clicking on it. I have this bar, which is number stored as text, convert to number. There we go, that could help. And then let's format this all the way down. Format paint. I don't need the total. Let's get rid of the total. Delete that. All right, so now the problem is I have these subcategories. See, here's the fountains, and then you have a subcategory for the fountains. So let's imagine that I want like these categories. I want the added information, but I don't want the subcategories in there. So I want to delete like this subcategory and so on. Let's delete this top bit. I'll keep that there. So now we'll say I don't want the design. Let's delete that. And then here's the subcategory for design. And then fountains. So I don't want the fountains subcategory. Let's delete that. But then here's the actual fountains in the subcategory. So I want those. And then here's the total fountains. I don't want that because these will add up to the total. That adds up to the 900. So let's get rid of the total. Don't want that. And then I'll double check this at the end to see if it works. But here's the rocks and here's the total design. So this was a total subcategory of all the designs. So again, I don't really want the total designs. Let's delete that. So there's a subcategory within a subcategory. Let's get rid of the landscaping. I don't want that. Delete that. And then I'll have all the stuff within the landscaping. And then it has a sprinklers subcategory within the subcategory. I don't want that. Let's delete that. And then I've got the sprinklers. And then I don't want the total sprinklers. Let's delete that. And then here's another subcategory for pest control. Don't want that. And then I don't want the total pest control because that's repeating. All right, let's see if let's delete all this. And let's add it. Oh man, let's not delete. Delete. Now let's add it up and see if it still adds up. I'll put it down here. So it should be at the 4584. That doesn't seem right. That don't seem right. It should be 3309. So it should be 3309. And the difference between the two is 12124. This is this one. This total needs to be gone too. Be gone. All right, so that looks right. All right, so I think that's right. So now it's like I can get rid of this little indentation. So I'm just gonna double click and delete till it goes back to the side here, which is kind of tedious to do, but we'll do it for formatting's sake. You gotta do it for formatting's sake, man. Some things you just gotta do the hard manual way. Manual labor happening here. All right, that was tough, but I'm a tough dude, so not a problem. All right, so now let's sort this thing. This is gonna be the category. Let's put some headers on it. Let's sort it Z to A. Go to the insert or data tab. We'll add the filters. And then we'll sort the filter from Z to A. Z to A, boom, top to bottom. That's all we need to do. And then we could add a pie chart. Insert pie chart. So once again, now maybe we do this. This is a subcategory. Let's just do this one again. The ring. And then I'll get rid of the top bit. Now again, there's too many categories maybe. So maybe I want like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and these three don't make the cut. Let's just make it like 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all these don't make the cut. So that's at 524. So I'm gonna say this is gonna be 524 and just call this other. You guys are out. You better step it up. You're in danger of losing. You're in danger of Doge cutting you out of the process because you ain't pulling your weight. We don't take that round here. You got to pull your weight round here. You're out. You're out on your face. I don't want to hear. You can cry about it all you want. Cry about it all you want. You're out. You ain't doing nothing. What is it you do around here? I'm a people person. Can't you tell? Do you even go into the office? You don't even talk to any people. What do you mean I don't? You need me. I'm a people person. Now get out of here. Get him out of here. Guy's worthless. All right. So now, all right. So we notice that if we sum this thing up, put the total down here. I sound cruel now, but I'm just saying, it's not cruel. What's been happening is what's cruel, man. You got these people doing nothing, and then they're making all this money, and you're like, what? What about the people that actually do stuff? For crying out loud, we should be rewarding. You don't reward the deadbeats. You have a baseline floor for the deadbeats, but you don't have people aspire to be deadbeats. That's not how. That can't last. All right, let it go. Let it go. So these are the percentages. Now, if I pull this over on another tab, if I pull this over here, and then say this is going to be sales by product graph, and over here I'm going to say this is sales by product data or something like that, and then I take this graph and I put it on over here, boom, and then I see if it fits on the page, bam, and then maybe I put a header on it, sales by product and service graph, and then maybe I make it landscape. Maybe I go insert and make it landscape, because what are we doing? We're going above and beyond. That's why. Above and beyond the call of duty. I'm gonna make it landscape. I'm gonna landscape that territory. Put some shrubbery around it. We'll put this out here, and then maybe we'll make this. I'll format the title, format the cells, and then alignment, and then center across. Okay, and we'll make it black and white, something like that. So that looks, so right, so it looks nice. And then I can go to the first one. Maybe we want the classic bar chart this time, but we want a sideways bar chart just to throw some variation, some variety. So here's a sideways bar chart, something like that. Talvez. Oh, wait. I'm gonna copy that, put that over here. Tambien. My Spanish. This is my Spanglish. Dios, for crying out loud, mios. K for Pete's sake, está pasando. K for Pete's sake, pasando aquí. Oh. Okay. Something like that. And then, so then, like if I was to print this thing, if I went to the first tab and say, we're going to print this thing, having all these reports, the whole workbook, and then, but now I've got those data tabs that I don't want those to show up. I'm not saying this is perfectly formatted, but I'm just showing how you can possibly go about going above and beyond the call of duty. So let's go ahead and save this as a PDF file this time. I'm going to put it over here. Save it in here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So then I'm going to say, then let's hide all the data tabs so they don't show up when we print them. I'm going to hide this one, hide it, and then I'll hide this one, hide it, and then I'll hide this one, hide it. And do we have any more? This one's a data graph. Hide that. Hide it. We don't want people seeing that. That's the part that they don't need to see, the behind the scenes stuff. And then we're gonna go and print it again. And so now we print the entire workbook, and look at that. We've got the whole thing here. I'm not saying it's the fanciest thing. I'm just as like an example. There are people that are better at formatting than I, for sure. But you know, that would be fancy, way fancier than like what normal bookkeepers do for the client. And so the bookkeeper's like, dude, this person's going way beyond the call of duty. They need a raise. And it's like, what do you mean they need a raise? They don't qualify by some stupid reason. It's like, no, they qualify because they're going above and beyond. That's why they get a raise. That's why they get a raise, dang it. Because they're doing the work. Like real work, not like the woke people say doing the work. I'm talking like actual work. Stuff that actually does stuff. That's why. All right, so here's our end product here. So again, it's not, if we scroll down, we've got our reports, which we formatted before. And then I'm just gonna go, let's see if I can page down on this one. Page down. And then here's our graphs. Boom. And I put them landscape, but notice in landscape, it's not like the old days where if something was landscape and you had to staple it together and like decide if you need it to be stapled like this way or that way, or it's sticking out sideways or something, because if it's a PDF file, you could still open it so it's right side up, which is kind of cool. So you don't have to worry about the landscape problem as you did before when you had to print the thing and then staple the thing, and then all these ones are pointing in the wrong direction, and they're upside down and people are twisting stuff around. So that, just to point that out. So there it is. And then let's unhide so that you can see these if you have access to the work here, so you can see what we have done. I'm holding down Shift, selecting multiple tabs at the same time, lo mismo tiempo, and then I'm going to unhide, and then I'll hold down Shift and click on all these things to unhide them at the same time. Lo mismo tiempo. Okay. You don't need to practice your Spanish here. I need to practice whenever I get a chance to practice. That's when I practice. Tell me when and where I practice. And so that's there it is.